287 because her preacher is coming, Goku. 287. Kesha lokuli nkwayeso yeso ezate hlezendiko tekopike te tendimke timke kuwe tithandabuza kandithandabuza tibisa wena othando lwakho othando lwakho wena ungavumi njiwe. Keep going up. Oh, ta izwe lianditsala lizwe kesiolo kalindiphu bujebi mandingai hallelujah mandingai tikumbulu Yesu Calvary uyesu Getsemane mandimbonu Yesu naye bethelelwe emnqamlezweni kangenxeba yakhe ngenxeba yakho tibulaleka naka kubuhlungu apha emhlabeni vuma ndisibone naso isandla sakho onke amakhala abeka wakho onke amakhala abenga wakho onke amakhala amakhala
People are still talking. Should I get the choir master to make you sing? Okay, good afternoon. Can you hear me that side? We okay? Okay, thank you very much. I'm in between lights. I can't exactly see you down that side, so I'm hoping that you can hear me. Now, I'm going to talk to you about a subject that I hope you are interested in. I've got to make a disclaimer at this point. We had prepared some slides and to move them with this, but I'm told this thing has broken down. So I'm asking you to bear with us as we try to coordinate with the people that side. So for that reason, I may be moving faster than the slides. So I'm going to ask you to try to look at two presentations. Everything is on the slides. And when I finish, you can have the presentation. But I will not be reading slides one by one. I'll just be presenting. Are we okay? So let's just understand each other there. Great. I want to start with a question. Which is the most important organ in your body? Oh, by the way, I'm a medical doctor. So when I'm saying an organ, I'm talking about a real organ. Which is the most important organ? Yes. The head, the heart, the brain. From this side, which is the most important organ? Okay, let me make it easier. Socially, which is the most important organ? The eyes. Okay, now I'm going to give you a clue. When Mrs. Papu hears that her daughter-in-law has just had a baby, what does she ask? How many eyes does the baby have, yeah? Does the baby have a head that functions? What does he ask? What is it, yeah? Which organ is he talking about? Ah, now you know the important organ, right? The most important organ in your body, socially, it seems, is the one you want to talk more about. But you won't talk about it, right? It's the organ that separates. When you are sitting here, they will say, if I came here dressed like Pastor Papu was dressed, Pastor Lupundwad, will the church be very happy if I'm coming to preach dressed like Pastor Papu was dressed? Or you are dressed like I'm dressed? Can you picture that? But these are just clothes, right? What's wrong with that? Somebody has said there are organs that define what you should dress. Is that not so? That's why I'm saying that's an important organ socially, because it seems to define how you should dress. Try to buy your little boy a pink doll. What happens? They're going to tease him, right? The organ is so socially important that even a small boy who doesn't understand anything cannot go with the color that has been defined for another gender. So it looks like socially, in so many ways, we get defined by what we do and how we say it because of that particular organ. Is the one that seems to define, in so many ways, it defines your career. There are subjects that can only be done by boys and only by girls. It defines your role in the home. It defines the clothes you wear. It defines your company. Even when you order an Uber at night, ladies, you would rather pick a taxi driven by what? A woman. But when it comes to church, if I say, let's come in the afternoon, I want us to come and discuss sexual reproductive system. A lot of people get in trouble with that, yeah? We don't readily want to discuss sex in the church. We don't readily want to discuss our organs in the church. You'll come and the elder will be comfortable if I'm saying we are going to discuss diabetes, right? If I'm saying we are going to discuss high blood pressure. But what will the church board start thinking if I'm saying, oh, we're going to discuss sex in the afternoon, come? People get jitters. And yet, that's the one thing that so many of us have in mind at one point or another, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So don't go to sleep. Oh, give me the next slide. I told you I'm going to have problems here. I've clicked and nothing has happened. So, in the next slide, I'm asking us to look at the presentation. I'm going to rush through this. For one thing, because I'm failing to control it. For another, because there's quite a lot that I would like to say. First, we'd like to look at knowing HIV and AIDS. And then we'll talk about HIV and AIDS in my country, each one of your countries. And then we'll look at us as the Adventist Church, the Adventist Church's response to this HIV and AIDS scourge. And then we'll talk about who am I, whose eye is on me, and we'll go to an action item. Let's get the next slide, please. I'm going to run quickly through HIV and AIDS. There was a time that HIV was a topic. Even the children in school, they knew about that. And then we came to a point where some people somewhere feel that everybody knew anything that they needed to know. So we stopped teaching about it in schools. We stopped teaching even the children in secondary schools, but the virus continued. So I'm going to just give you a very quick crash course. If you already know it, that's fine. But we realize that there are a number of age group that doesn't know that much about HIV. So first, let me say HIV, as it says, human immunodeficiency virus. It's a virus. And that is important because I've seen people trying to treat the virus with antibiotics. Antibiotics and a virus don't work together. So we say it's a retrovirus. What is important about that is to mean that this is the kind of virus that you cannot kill, because its nature is it goes inside your cells and sabotages the cell system and makes your cells begin to produce little HIV. So that statement that is a retrovirus is very important. That is why HIV is not curable, because it takes over the body's DNA and it is small enough to pass through the blood and the placentas, and that's why it can go through to the mother and child. And I just want to bear two importance on the last line there, that HIV necessarily targets your immune cells. We call them T cells, and they've got some subsets that are called CD4. HIV eats up CD4s, and it's for that reason that when somebody has HIV, we measure their CD4, because the more the virus you have, which is what we call the viral load, the less the CD4 you have. So when you come to me and say, they prayed for me and I'm cured of HIV, I say, no problem, let's measure your CD4s. Let's measure your viral load. You can't have a viral load when you are cured of HIV. So they said objective way of telling. Can I have the next slide, please? As I said, I'm not going to be going through them. This slide here, I'm not reading it, but you can take a picture. It shows you that HIV is actually found in every fluid in the body. Even in your stools, even in urine, even in your tears and your sweat, it's there. I know that many people don't know that, but there's a difference. The difference is that the virus that is found in the stool, in the sweat, and in the tears is in an inactive form. That's why we don't talk much about it being transferred there. But as scientists, we need to mention that, because it is very possible for somebody to come and tell you that, oh, we have found HIV here, and you start to panic. That is, and we know that we don't know everything. So if someday we find out that it's also active, we should also just be aware of that. I'm bringing these things up to you because it's important when we talk about HIV and prevention for you to understand just how serious this kind of infection is. Next slide, please. I'm just passing quickly through that. How is HIV spread? Those of you who already know that, that's fine. But in summary, you can get HIV from any body fluid. The fluids where it is mostly concentrated will be your blood and components of the blood. It will be the semen, and it will be the milk, amniotic fluid, and all the sex hormones, and sex fluids that are the things that are associated with sex. You will find out that you have HIV in there. HIV, yes, can survive for a short time on a surface, but it generally dies away. That is why you can't really pass it on from there. It can actually get in the water, but it tends to die in the water. And then lastly, just the next slide, as I pass quickly through that, the best treatment of HIV is a combination. You have to have a combination of nutrition or herbs, whatever it is that you are doing, and antiviral treatment. I don't have the time. See me Nicodemusly, and I can explain to you the difference. Basically, the antiretroviral, it actually slows down. Some of them will actually stop the virus from replicating. That's why they can suppress it. But your nutrition, what it does is it builds up your CD4. So when somebody is eating well and doing all these good things, their CD4 goes up, and then the person feels well. And when you take the cells for that, you will think, oh, the person is cured, but the viral load remains high. So over time, you will end up with your CD4 cells actually finished in the body if all you are doing is just taking the nutrients and not taking the antiretroviral. And that is important because I know there are people here who have been told, don't drink the drugs, just take the herbs and just take this. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the herbs or the food, but know for a fact that they will just build up your immune system, but they will not do anything to the virus. So soon enough, you will deplete your immune system, and then you'll be more in trouble. I'm flying through the prevention because I'll get back to that. Can you just quickly go through the next slides to the statistics? Yes. Now, I want us to look at the realities. Where are we in the world? Firstly, HIV is still around. Every day, there are people getting infected. In fact, according to the WHO, the latest report that we have for the whole world is 2022. Every week, 4,000 young girls get infected with HIV. And 3,600 of them are around here in sub-Saharan Africa. By the time you leave from Swakopmund, 4,000 more people will have contracted HIV. So that is something that is here. And I can tell you, I was talking to some of the young doctors at home. They're telling me in our medical ward, almost every patient that we have there has HIV. Unfortunately, we've brought ourselves to the point where we've told ourselves that there are antivirus right now, so we can just be. We'll talk a little bit about what about the antiretroviral. For the record, many of our countries, including Namibia and Swaziland and Lesotho, don't manufacture ARVs. Even in South Africa, we manufacture ARVs using the active ingredients that are flown from somewhere else. So it is possible that we'll come to a point where we no longer have the ARVs or where we cannot afford them. Therefore, staying negative is the better option. That's what I'm trying to say to you. As I said, just pay attention there and read your things because I won't read all the slides. Let's look at the next one. The other challenges that come with HIV is the fact that you can almost never get infected with HIV alone. Anytime somebody is infected with HIV, at the point of infection, something else came on. And we're going to talk about that. Remember, HIV in our territory is mostly a sexually transmitted infection. But once you get HIV, there are a lot of other things that come along. We know that the biggest complication we have, and I'll show you numbers shortly, TB, cancer, those are some of the things that we have seen on the rise. And now actually we are talking about hepatitis. Hepatitis B is also shooting up because of the HIV. And then, of course, we have got the drug reaction. Not everybody can tolerate ARVs. So don't go out there and get yourself HIV positive because you can take ARVs. You don't know how you are going to respond. We have got people who have died faster from ARVs than HIV would have taken them. You understand that? ARVs are drugs. They are not food. They are not meant to be something you play with. If you can avoid them, avoid them. And the last point that I'm putting there is the resistance. We have many people, and I can give you a whole presentation. Mam Papu knows that. We have had those presentations about resistance. We are at a point where in your countries, people are getting infected with ARV-resistant HIV. Which means when you come in, we try to give you drug line number 1, they don't work for you. Number 2, they don't work for you because you are infected by somebody who has a virus that is already resistant. You understand that? Some people have been on ARVs for a long time. They're doing a very good job. But there comes a point where the body, the virus becomes too smart for the drugs that you are giving. And if that person develops a resistant type of HIV, and you get infected, you don't get infected with the wild type, you get infected with the resistant one, which means you will no longer be qualifying for the cheap drugs. You have to go for the very expensive drugs that may not even work. You understand? So it's not a joke, it's a very serious thing we are talking about. Can I have the next slide, please? I want us just to look briefly at that. Cervical cancer, I want to share with you some statistics. 85% of women with cervical cancer worldwide, they live in sub-Saharan Africa. Did you hear that? Cervical cancer is a problem here, and science has shown that part of the problem is because it goes well with HIV. So where HIV is prevalent, that's where cervical cancer is. Give me the next slide, please. I'm rushing for time here. Tuberculosis. If you look at that, up to 64% of those people who are HIV are estimated to have what? TB. And 74% of those with TB have HIV. So what is the message here? Once you get HIV, you see that you have opened the doors for other things. You can be getting TB. And the other message is those of you who are running programs for HIV and the like, I am encouraging you that if you know somebody who has got HIV, encourage them to test for TB. You know somebody who has got TB, encourage them to test for HIV. And as a church, we should be very wary of TB. TB spreads almost like COVID. Remember COVID? We could not gather because it's something that's spread by droplets. When you sit next to somebody in a choir, in a group, and the person has TB and you don't know and he doesn't know, the whole group can get TB. Now, it's very important for us to be informed about these things. The good news is TB generally can be treated, generally. But if you get very late, you can get multiple drug-resistant TB, which kills. By the way, all these things kill, and we're going to talk about the killing next. Yeah. Let's get the next slide. In May, just the other day, May 2024, we just had the World Health Assembly, where ministers and ministries of health, they gather up in Geneva to discuss issues of health. They brought this alert. They saw a new report, and this I just took a clip from there. Flags major increase in sexually transmitted diseases. In other words, we've been having a challenge of HIV and hepatitis. Now we are having a surge of sexually transmitted diseases. You can go and check this report, it's online. That is, the next slide there. The report is called Global Health Sector Strategies on respectively HIV, viral hepatitis, and sexually transmitted disease. The world is having big meetings to figure out what are we going to do with our people. From 2022 to 2030, we need to be having a strategy. Why? Because there is an increase of sexually transmitted infections. Give me the next slide. The most prevalent infection in the world at this point is sexually transmitted infection. In 2020, where the data was done, every day, 1 million people presented to health facilities around the world with sexually transmitted infections. Daily, 1 million people per day, STIs. That is a crisis, wouldn't you say? And a lot of them, believe it or not, are back here in Africa. Syphilis, we thought that it was extinct. We had 7.1 million in 2020. 2023 data, when it came out, they had wanted to halve the number. That's what the strategy says. Instead, it went up. Now we are sitting at just over 8 million. It grew by 1 million in a year. And syphilis kills. I don't have time. If I come to your churches, we can talk about this. You can ask your health workers to take you through this infections that we are talking about. But those are the big four that we talk about. Give me the next slide, please. Now, I want to come home. HIV and my country. Worldwide, these are the countries where HIV is most prevalent. Give me the next slide, please. Eswatini is number 1. 28.3%. Prevalence means what percentage of the population is living with HIV. Followed by Lesotho. This is for the whole world, by the way. These are things we should not be proud of, but we are leading, it would seem. Lesotho, 24.1%. Botswana, 22.6%. Zimbabwe, 22.1%. South Africa, 14%. Namibia, you are coming in on number 6. Can you imagine? Right in this room are the representatives of the top 6 countries worldwide with HIV. Can you imagine? This is not good. That is why they invited me to come and talk to you. Because you live here. Yeah? We live here. And now sometimes we can talk about the numbers in terms of population, actual people. You know, that is a percentage of the population. But some countries like Namibia have not that many people. Now, look on the right side. By population, the countries that have got the number of people living with HIV, guess who is number 1? South Africa. This data is from 2024. South Africa, as of 2024, the estimations and projections are showing that you have got 9.23 million people living with HIV. It is important for us as a church to talk about it. You understand that? 9.23 million, we are there, we are involved. Look at where the next one is, 2.5 million, Tanzania. That's how far apart they are. Give me the next slide, please. My time is running. Yes, that one. So this one here talks to our countries that are sitting here. What is the prevalence? What is the incidence? Prevalence is the percentage of people in a country that have HIV. That is the number that have HIV divided by the population. Incidence is the number that was infected in a given year per 1,000. When we look at that, Eswatini, your prevalence is sitting at 25.9, but I'm more interested in the next slide. The next line. The next line is male versus female. So in Swaziland data, 17% is the prevalence on men, but look at the women, 35%. Do you see that there is discussion? So ladies, we need to pay attention because HIV is actually in the women. In Lesotho, the picture is the same. Looking at 19%, 14% for men, 24% for women. Namibia, 8% for men, 14% for women. South Africa, those ones are swapped. It's 12% for men and 24% for women. That's my error. I have to correct that. Do you see that? Give me the next slide, please. Now, one of the reasons why we believe that it's important to talk about this thing and to talk to you is because HIV is a killer. A lot of us, like I said, we have told ourselves that there are drugs and therefore there's no reason to look at it. This, according to the world ranking, there's what you call World Health Ranking. This is what the world is dying from. In terms of non-communicable diseases, the human race is dying from cardiovascular disease, cancer, respiratory, digestive, and psychiatric conditions. But in terms of communicable diseases, guess what is the leading killer right now worldwide? AIDS. AIDS is here, people. AIDS is back. You have got to take it seriously. Followed by diarrheal disease and TB, all of which, as I've told you, are sisters of AIDS. Do you see that? We call them AIDS-defining illness. Even malaria does not come close. HIV is their thing. Give me the next slide, please. And Let's look at now country by country. According to your ministries of health and the data from your countries, what are you dying from? This is the data of the death reports. When people die at the mortuary or at the hospital, we take a record on the death certificate on what somebody has died from. That's where these numbers come from. Swaziland, Eswatini, the leading cause of death is HIV. 20.8% of all deaths in Eswatini are HIV related. And you can see what comes next. Diabetes, only 8%. Do you see how far it is? It's a real problem. The numbers in the brackets are world ranking. So that means Eswatini, you have got the leading number of deaths by HIV worldwide. You are ranked number 1 as the country where HIV is ravaging the nation. And then those are the others. I've just added them there because I'm taking the top 5. Now let's look at cancer in Eswatini. Which cancer is killing people in Eswatini? Cervical cancer. Remember my previous slides? Is still related to HIV. And worldwide, Eswatini, you are ranking number 3. The third place where worldwide, when you take all the people in the world per population that are dying from cervical cancer, Eswatini ranks number 3 in your given population. And the rest of them, of course, gentlemen, those who don't have a cervix, you have a prostate. That too is high. Can you see that? Even though you are ranking number 26, but it is the second biggest cancer killer in Eswatini. Let's take the next slide and get another country. Lesotho. What are they dying from in Lesotho? HIV. Again, HIV/AIDS is the top killer in Lesotho at 14.3%. And stroke is the next one. And Lesotho, you are ranking number 2 in the whole world of people who are dying from HIV. And look at that again on the cervical cancer. Again, on the cancer side, Lesotho, your people are dying as the leading cause is cervical cancer and prostate cancer. Do you see that? But in Lesotho, I want to say some things about Lesotho because I'm very worried about Lesotho. The point at the bottom there is the world ranking. Lesotho, per population, you are ranked as number 1 for suicide. Per population. In other words, in your given population, as a ratio, more people are dying of suicide more than anywhere else as a ratio in the world. You are again number 1 for hypertension, Lesotho. You are again number 1 for low birth weight, for epilepsy and for fire. Those may not be the biggest killers in your country, but when you are compared with the rest of the world, people may have epilepsy elsewhere, but it's not killing them. But it is killing them in Lesotho. So, where is my health director? We need to talk about what are we going to do about Lesotho, at least from the church perspective, because we have serious problems there. Give me the next country, please. Namibia. What are we dying from in Namibia? Surprise, surprise, HIV. Still the leading cause of death in Namibia. And followed by stroke and coronary disease. And then you've got TB at number 5. When it comes to cancer, Namibia is swapped a bit. Prostate cancer is leading as the cause of death in Namibia when it comes to cancer. But it's still followed by what? Cervical cancer. Do you still see why I said that's the most important organ to discuss? Now we are finally talking. Those organs, for whatever reason, because they are supposed to be hidden, even when they are sick, we hide them. And then we don't get the treatment. Let's get the last country, South Africa. Can I have South Africa, please? Yes, there you go. South Africa has controlled its issues very well. You can see that even though they have the numbers, this is thanks to the health system. Because while you have all these problems, health system can make a difference. You are still having HIV as the leading cause of death in South Africa. But you are ranked number 9 in the world, which is very encouraging. You are still in the top 10. I read the top 10. But South Africa, you still have got pneumonia as number 3. Like Namibia, when you have the pneumonia, diarrheal disease, and TB as leading killers, but HIV, the numbers are low, it means people are not testing. The numbers that we have are the numbers that are tested. But if you are dying from AIDS-defining illness, but you are not tested HIV positive, it means that we have HIV, but we don't know about it. But you know what? The body and the virus know about it. That's why it is still getting you. South Africa, on cancers, you are just the same with the rest of us. Prostate cancer and cervical cancer. Your difference is number 3 in South Africa is lung cancer. And I put it in bracket there that you are ranked number 60 in smoking countries worldwide. By the way, Lesotho ranks high. I'm not so sure why their cancer is not getting them. Lesotho has got more smokers in rank than you. Let's get the next slide. The next 2 slides are a bit busy, but I just want to share something. There are people that when we talk about HIV, they say, that was in the 2000s. We have gotten better with ARVs and the like. This report from the World Health Organization, broken down by age, is to show you that our behavior and our causes of death have not changed. In 2000, that's the rank. We were dying from HIV, yes, thank you for that. HIV, TB, maternal conditions, and the like. Zoom out and go to the next one. In 2019, do you see that? Nothing has changed. Almost 20 years later, we are still dying from HIV, tuberculosis. What has changed is now road accidents have gone higher. But as far as HIV and TB is concerned, we have not changed. And we have had ARVs the whole time. Do you get my point? The point is, you can't play with HIV and say, I have got ARVs. Because it looks like even with ARVs, over time, nothing much has changed. We can see the changes there on the other side. And this is the age bracket 15 to 29, which is you people here. The next slide talks about the 30 plus. Give me the next one, yes. 30 plus, is there any difference? Do you see any difference there? No. It's still HIV and TB. And in 2019, HIV and TB. And this one says maternal conditions is still maternal conditions. Therefore, with ARVs around, with all the things that have been put in place, our death statistics are not changing. What may be changing is fewer people are dying. You can see the numbers. But in terms of the leading causes of death, it's not changing. Therefore, HIV is still very, very important. Now, let's hear what the church is doing about it. Let's get home. What has been the Adventist Church's response to HIV? The church has actually long responded, and this is what I'm coming here to talk to you about because some of you may not know about it. As far as 2003, the General Conference took a decision to form an organization called Adventist AIDS International Ministry. How many of you have heard about that? I can see it's only the people in front, which means they are the pastors, young people. For the last 20 years, we have been having that organization, which I'm going to talk about to you today. AIM is actually our response by the church to the threat of HIV because we live in this world. The world I've just painted for you, the world of diseases and the like, we live there. We baptize the people from that world and they come and they join us, those of us who may already be in the church already. You get the point? So, whatever is happening when it comes to this, it is happening to us. And for the record, we know that children are being born in this church. Therefore, if HIV is spread sexually, it must be spreading also in the church. Do you get the point? Yes. So now, the next few slides, I'm going to talk very quickly about this, and my time is almost gone. If you want to know more, there's a website there, www.adventistaidsinternational.org. There's a lot of information there because I don't have much time. But that is our logo for AIM. Give me the next one. That's the logo for AIM, Adventist AIDS International Ministry. And we are coming here to talk to you. The mission for AIM is that one. Give me the mission there, please. We are here to be a grace-filled ministry that demonstrates the hope, love, and compassion of Jesus Christ. Give me the next slide. By involving all the church levels. Is your machine stuck? Okay. No, it's too fast now. Go back one slide. Yes. So that is the vision. And then we have the mission. Like I said, you go to the website and I'll share with you. I wanted just to highlight something here, that the aim is not about people who are suffering from HIV. It is about awareness, about prevention, about care, and about support. That's why I'm here today. Go on to the third one. You can skip the vision for now. Yes, our methods. That's how we spread the message. That's how we deal with HIV in the church. Through education and training, as I'm doing now. We have a lot of prevention strategies that I want to talk to you about. We care for those that are affected and infected, and there are many, many, many reports. When you go on our website, you can find out what we have been doing. And we are here because we are mainstreaming AIM initiative in all our other ministries. And our key ministries are AWM, Women's Ministry, Youth. Women's Ministry because, as you saw, HIV is affecting more women. Youth, because HIV is affecting more the youth. Family ministry, because HIV is affecting ministries. Ministerial, all the things we are doing cannot go in unless the pastors come on board. And education, a lot of our children catch HIV at school. So those 5 ministries are the ministries that we expect to collaborate and to see in big time in the HIV world. You can skip the next one. And then I just want to show you some of the initiatives, the next slides, please. Some of the initiatives that so far we have had. Skip that one. They will read for themselves. My time is up. In HIV, in many countries, we have support groups. That's an initiative of total member involvement. If I have time, I would sit you down and tell you how these support groups have penetrated into communities, have helped a lot of our members. I mean, in other countries, you find where every church has a support group for HIV. But now we're actually saying a support group for all the chronic conditions that you can work with. AIM, also, we work with hospitals and clinics, and many of our Adventist hospitals and clinics, they have got HIV treatment programs. And AIM helps to fund, sometimes to facilitate. We also work with students, and we are advocating for chastity and faithfulness. The next slide, please. We work with organizations like ICPA. How many of you know ICPA? Hey, this is the one where we prevent smoking, alcohol, and drugs. And it is also an organ of the church. We work with ADRA YEP. How many of you know about YEP? Young and Empowered, yes. Whereby we work with them on projects and initiatives. I hope ADRA tomorrow will talk a bit about YEP. We work with Youth Alive. How many of you have heard about Youth Alive? Okay, at least you know that. These are all the initiatives where we are trying to help you. And then with your My Sister, My Friend, you find a lot of HIV material there. And we also have opportunity for income generating activities. Give me the next slide that I'm going to go to, and then I go to the last part of my presentation. In our strategic initiative that we are riding on right now, we have this one here, number 7. It's called Spiritual Growth Objective. Its objective says to help young adults, youth and young adults, place God first and exemplify biblical worldview. And its performance indicator, among other things, it says that the youth and the young will be helped to embrace the belief that the body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, will abstain from alcohol, tobacco, recreational use of drugs, and other high-risk behavior, and they will embrace church teachings on marriage and demonstrate sexual purity. So as AIM, we have taken this and we are running with it. We are running with it. That's why we have come up with this initiative that you are seeing on the next slide. The campaign is called, Who Am I? Who am I? The point is this. Sex by its nature is a private matter, right? It's something that people do in secret and in private. And that creates a problem for parents who are trying to help their children not to indulge too young, because they go out of their way to do what? To hide. Therefore, if you are going to have any initiative at all that is going to reach young people, it's got to reach their mind. It's important that an Adventist young person and any other young person who wants to prize chastity knows who they are and knows which eye is looking on them whenever. Wherever you are, you may be hiding from your parents. You may be hiding from your friends. You may be hiding from your church mates. You may even be hiding from your girlfriend when you are with the other girlfriend. But you are yourself. You are there. And that's what Who Am I is targeting. We are going to run through this. Okay, let's look at the objectives of Who Am I, the next slide. So the goal of this campaign that we are trying to sell to you is, first and foremost, we would like you, the young people of the Adventist Church, to know your HIV status, especially if you are sexually active. It's imperative. You can get HIV on your first sexual contact. We are not going to hide our head in the sand and pretend that our children that are not being pregnant and having the evidence that we talked about are not sexually active. We are not going to pretend. So I'm just going to talk to you very directly and very bluntly. Go and get yourself HIV tested. It doesn't matter how well she looks or how smart he is. She or he may be having an STI and may be having HIV. And you are on your own. The virus becomes yours alone. Know your status, Adventist. The second one that we are going to be pushing hard on, we want to empower you through awareness, like I've just been doing. Understanding the risks, understanding the choices you are making. I've just been telling you how bad things are out there. Maybe how bad they are also in here. Let them not be bad inside you. Be empowered. Give me the next few slides. I'm going to be summarizing very quickly. We are going to be running this campaign through the digital space. Why? Because that's where you young people are. We know that a lot of young people, you believe more what you read on social media, on your WhatsApps and Facebook and all the other things. Therefore, this is where we are taking the knowledge power. Of course, these kinds of meetings we can have, but we know that you are more on that. So the Who Am I is coming with this identity that's shown on the next slide. Show me that. That's what it looks like. That's the logo that we are running with until we get to the next GC conference. And we have put in here the visual identity. I won't be getting too much into that. Like I said, you can get these slides here. Yeah. Now, they tell me my time is up. So I'm going to run quickly to the end of this. Go to the last but one slide. Yes. I've rushed through to the end of the slide to say, what can I do? Now you have heard, even though you didn't hear everything, but you have heard. The first thing, you have already heard this verse before, James 1 verse 22. You have heard. What's going to be your action? Let us be doers. Go and get tested. Go and stop what you are doing. If you didn't know before you came here that it is a sin to have sexual relations before you are married, now you know. Go and stop. Number 2, stop the spread of HIV and STIs. In other words, be sexually responsible. It's also biblical. It says, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I know that young people say adultery is about those who are married. Maybe because they haven't read 1 Corinthians 6 verse 9. It talks about sexual impurity, sexual immorality. It talks about even fornication. And for the record, if adultery is for those people who are married, what do you call it when you have slept with one person? Aren't you married then? Why then are you going to the next one? Since you married yourself off, when you go to the next one, now you are an adulterer. Number 3, stop finger pointing and judging others. You are not a doctor. You are not empowered to diagnose people just by looking at them. We have a lot of our young people and our members who are struggling with HIV. They won't even go for treatment. They won't go for testing because you are persecuting them. You are not empowered to know somebody's condition by looking at them. And even if you get to know, so what? Who is teasing you about your condition? Let's stop stigma and discrimination. Pastors, let us baptize people even if they look HIV positive. Members, allow the pastors that are HIV positive to baptize you. Let us wash their feet, even if they're HIV positive. Are we together, church? We need to do something. Number 3, I need you to join our campaign. I need champions at various church levels. Whether you are at a church or at a school or at a conference, see me when we leave from here, or see your conference leaders, your union leaders, to say, I want to be a champion for who am I, because we are building up a team that's going to move this message. Now, last but one, be healthy and responsible in matters of disease treatment. Why am I bringing this up? We have had people who are HIV positive, were doing very well on drugs, and then somebody, prayer warriors, come to them and tell them, we can pray for you, and they think they're cured. And next thing, they are dead. People, let us be responsible. If you are not a doctor and you are not scientifically empowered to know what should be done, stop passing on herbs and things that you are not trained for, saying that they will treat this and that and the other. I know my time is up. Yeah. And lastly here, you have Impact SAU project. I want to share with you that AIM has got some funding for projects. And we are looking for young people. Remember the discussion that was had earlier to say, if you have something that you would like to see being done in the church, and you have not known how to do it, this is one of those ministries. If it's got to do with health, it's got to do with prevention of HIV, it's got to do with prevention of this sexual immorality, and helping people in the church come more to the Bible and more to God, you can go to our website. You'll find the forms there to apply for funding for your project. You can choose to apply for a project to be funded that is on prevention, on treatment, on care and support. And you can always see me later. So, thank you very much. I have overrun my time. I don't know if they're going to allow you to say anything, but I trust that you got whatever it is I was bringing. Hey, where are you? Take to the last slide. This disconnected relationship is very problematic. Thank you very much.